Hey there, Posse. Recently, I've had several people ask me about what it takes to start a vineyard. That's what we're going to look at today. And even if you're not planning to apply these tips for yourself, stay tuned, because what we're going to discuss will very definitely give you a better appreciation for what's in your glass. Are you ready? Come on, let's go. Hey there, Posse. I'm Pierre, and welcome to Asti Wine Consultants. Now, over the years, I've assisted people in fine-tuning their wineries, tending to their vineyards, trellising their vines for either maximum production or to make them less labor-intensive. Additionally, I've done the research and developed the business plan to start my own vineyard and winery. In this particular episode, I'm sharing my experience and insight with you. Now, by the end, you'll find that starting a vineyard is a challenging yet rewarding endeavor that requires careful planning, investment, knowledge, and a deep understanding of viticulture. Here's a step-by-step guide to help you get there. For me, the first step has always been research and educate. You want to understand viticulture. Viticulture is the science and practice of growing grapes. Consider taking courses or attending workshops on grape growing and vineyard management. For me, that included doing a ton of reading and getting my sommelier accreditation. Also, you want to visit existing vineyards to learn from experienced vintners, observe their practice, and ask a lot of questions. I've learned from a guy in my local market and a number of winery owners in California. It's surprising how open people in the industry are about helping others along. Number 2 is select the location and site. The location is the general area, such as Southern California or Northern Michigan or Eastern Tennessee. You want to choose a location with a suitable climate for growing grapes. Remember, different grapes and grape varietals require specific climate conditions, so select a region that supports the type of grapes you want to grow, or select the grapes that are best grown in that particular region. The site is the specific or the actual piece of property, the land. Here you're looking at soil quality and topography. You want to conduct a soil analysis to determine the suitability for viticulture. Soil should have good drainage, appropriate pH levels, and the right nutrients. Now, when it comes to topography has to do with the slope and the orientation of the specific piece of property. Ideally, you would want land with a slight slope because it has better drainage, and good sun exposure is ideal. South-facing slopes in the northern hemisphere receive optimal sunlight. Now, when I was considering doing something in the state of Michigan, Michigan State University's enology department provided all sorts of assistance. They had a history of virtually any soil and elevation information you could imagine. And that was for the entire state of Michigan. Additionally, they could provide me with thermal imaging or thermal satellite imagery for the best places to plant specific wine grapes. Now, speaking of grape varietals, that's our number 3 tip: selecting the proper grape varietal. You want to match grapes to the climate and the soil. Choose grape varietals that thrive in your region's climate. Research which varietals are successful in certain climates and types of soil. You also want to consider the market demand for different types of wine. Growing particular varietals can enhance your vineyard's profitability. The number 4 consideration is vineyard design and layout. Plan the spacing of your vines and the orientation of the rows. Proper spacing ensures adequate sunlight and air circulation, reducing disease risk. There are several factors to consider on this, but distancing of 3 to 6 feet is a good general rule of thumb. You also want to choose a trellising system that supports good vine growth, suited for the grape varietals and your growing conditions. Common systems include the VSP, that's vertical shoot positioning, and the T-top trellising. Something that a lot of people forget about is protecting your vines and grapes from critters. Now, I'm talking about primarily birds, deers, and all sorts of other animals who enjoy nibbling on your grapes. Most of these critters don't worry too much about what the varietal is. They're going to eat whatever they got or whatever you've got. You'll need netting and a netting system to keep the birds away. If there are deer in the area, you'll need to invest in deer fencing. In several vineyards that I've worked with, they needed heavier duty fencing to keep the bear out. Deers, birds, squirrels, chipmunks, bears, and a variety of other critters can strip your vines clean pretty fast. This is sort of like the Wizard of Oz. Deers and birds and bears, oh my. But this is no joke. My number 5 tip is soil preparation and pruning. Prepare the soil by removing weeds, rocks, and debris. Amend your soil based on the results of your soil analysis recommendations. You may need to add organic material or lime. Frequently, I would recommend anywhere from 6 months to a year from the time you prepare your soil to the time you plant. Purchase high-quality grapevine cuttings or rootstock from reputable nurseries. Plant them in early spring or late fall at the recommended depth and spacing guidelines. I can't underscore enough planting them at the right depth. How are you doing there? Are you following along with me? Is this making sense? If you are, write Asti in the comments below. Okay, number 6 is vineyard management. Install an irrigation system to ensure consistent water supply, especially in dry regions. Drip irrigation is commonly the way to go. Many vineyards don't use any irrigation systems at all. They depend completely on Mother Nature. The stress on the vines due to lack of rain is actually not all that bad. However, if there's truly a drought, you could lose much of your harvest or even some or all of your vines. Now, speaking of harvest, number 7 is harvesting and winemaking. Growing and harvesting the grapes is the science. Winemaking is where the science and the art come together. Harvesting your grapes at the absolute right time is based on their sugar content and acidity, and actually to some extent to their tannin levels. This timing is critical for producing high quality wine. Depending on your volume of grapes, to make wine you may need a facility, a winery. If you plan to produce wine on site, invest in the necessary winemaking equipment and facilities. Alternatively, you can partner with local wineries for production. This is actually a great point to look at the legal and the financial requirements. It's important to obtain the necessary permits and licensing for operating a vineyard and producing wine. These requirements will definitely vary by location. Got to look into that. It's also a good idea to develop a comprehensive business plan outlining your goals, your strategies, and your financial projections. include details on startup cost, operating expenses, and expected revenue. You can get a variety of business plan outlines online. Now, depending on how large or small you plan to be and your personal situation, you may need to secure funding for startup capital or capital for operating expenses. This may include personal savings, loans, grants, or investors. Number 9 is marketing and sales. Well, we'll take a quick look at 3 things. Branding. Create a strong brand for your vineyard and your wines. This includes your name, your logo, and packaging or bottle labels that reflect your vineyard's identity. Next is marketing strategy. Develop a marketing strategy to promote your wines. This can include anything from a website, social media presence, wine tasting, and participation in local and regional wine events. Now, you also need distribution channels. Establish distribution channels for your wines. This may include direct-to-consumer sales out of your tasting room, partnerships with local restaurants and retailers, and online sales. Now, my number 10 is continuous learning and adaptation. By the way, I have 3 real quick bonus tips right after my number 10 here. You don't want to miss those. Continuous learning. You may need to stay informed. Or actually, you'll definitely need to stay informed. Now, keep up with the latest trends and research in viticulture and winemaking. Attend industry conferences and join professional associations. Be prepared to adapt your practices based on experience and changing conditions. Folks, continuous improvement is the key to long-term success. Well, there you have it. 10 tips on how to start a vineyard. Okay, are you ready for my 3 quick tips? I've already alluded to this one earlier. You want to consult experts. Hire consultants or advisors with experience in vineyard establishment and management. Many states, plus state and larger private universities, have horticultural, that's easy for me to say, horticultural, agricultural, or enology departments. There's a large resource there that can be accessed for little to no financial compensation. Bonus number 2 is network. Build relationships with other vineyard owners, winemakers, and industry professionals. And finally, a really important one is patience and perseverance. Growing a vineyard takes time and tons of effort. Be prepared for challenges and stay committed to your long-term goals. Folks, starting a vineyard is a significant undertaking that takes time, effort, and resources, but with careful planning, dedication, and a passion for viticulture, it can become a successful, fulfilling, and highly rewarding endeavor. Cheers. Hey Posse, thanks so much for investing the time to watch this video. I trust it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And please consider hitting subscribe. Oh, and be sure to check out these other videos. Until next time, cheers.